All right, hello everybody. It's the Meista from Brews and Tunes. Cheers! I am very, very excited today. I'm chatting with drummer extraordinaire Taylor Emerine from multiple bands: Dismemberment, Botched Suicide, Satanic Hunt, as well as several others. So yeah, very excited to have you here today, Taylor. Thanks so much for chatting with me.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, buddy. This is a long time coming, I think.
Yeah, this is great. This is awesome. Well, why don't we talk about kind of what's going on with you right now? Like you've got some pretty exciting news with on multiple fronts. I think you got a lot going on. You're a very busy guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I recently just started teaching drum lessons at Studio One here in Circleville. Nice. All ages, pretty much. I don't turn anybody down. If you're willing to play, I'm willing to teach you. So that's fun. Been looking forward to playing on a lot of those lessons. That's taken up some time, but it's a fun to teach and actually get back into that, because I went through high school band and did all that myself, so it's fun to kind of be able to give that back now, because learning how to read sheet music goes a long way for drummers. But yeah, with the bands, Dismemberment is actually working on our fifth album, I think. Pardon me for losing track, but yeah, it's our fifth EP. We're hoping to have that to be out soon this year, as soon as we can this year, later on. Same thing with Botched Suicide. We also have a new EP coming out. Very cool. That is going to be entitled Mopery for the Masses. We do have a title for that.
Oh, nice.
That will be released sooner than anything. We also have, with Satanic Hunt, we're doing a split with the Japanese thrash band Abigail.
Oh, wow.
That'll be really cool. I'm looking forward to that. 2-song split. Simple Harvest is another band that I'm in, country band. We do classic rock covers and country covers, and we got about 20 some odd shows for the year on the weekends, and it's just a fun time. I got a lot of stuff going, and everything's all thumbs up, man. It's great.
Yeah, you are a busy guy. That's very exciting news on all fronts. That's really cool. There's so much happening right now, and I mean, for me, I mean, I'm a huge Dismemberment fan. And
thank you.
So I'm really excited for the EP to come out. But then because I mean this album, your last full album, is just brutal. I love it. It's fantastic. Such a great album.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm really excited for the new EP, which, as you said, hopefully later sometime this year at some point. And you guys actually just barely, I think it was maybe yesterday, you celebrated the 10-year anniversary of your first EP, I believe, correct?
Yeah, it's our second EP, actually.
Second EP.
Denied Salvation, and the Condemned came out a year before that. We did 2 EPs back to back, and they were released a day apart from each other, so it's kind of like an 11-year celebration of our first record, and then the day afterwards we get a 10-year celebration of our second.
That's very exciting. That's cool. And then now you've got another EP in the works coming out very soon, which is great. And then, as you mentioned, also the Botched Suicide, which is kind of more a grindcore, kind of straight ahead grindcore in a lot of ways, right?
Yes, very much like old school death metal, but mixed with the grindcore sound. We're really big into. We're huge Anal Cunt fans. We love Macabre, for example. So just taking anything that just fast and thrashy, but not having too crazy. I don't go too fast with like the double bass in it. I try to keep it a little more simple and old school style, like the earlier Death records, kind of.
Nice.
Just to make that like late 80s, early 90s kind of feel to a new school, everybody screaming at you and going a million miles an hour. It's really fun. It's only a 3-piece too. We only have a guitar player and no bass player, and you can want to call him a singer. He just screams his head off.
Nice. Yeah, and it's really cool stuff. I mean, hopefully I won't get you in trouble for saying this, but you let me check out some demos a while back, and it's killer stuff.
Yeah.
Really intense, really brutal. I loved it. I thought it was great. I can't wait to hear the finished product. And that's, you said, coming out fairly soon, right?
Oh. Yes. We will. We're working on getting the album artwork and planning who's going to be pressing it up so we can figure out the distribution in a little bit. That just taken more time than I want it to right now, because with the lessons that kind of ate up one of our band practice days throughout the week. So Gotcha. Just a little bit harder to communicate now, but it's fine. We'll hopefully, I want to have it out before summer. I really want to have it out before summer. That way we can hopefully try to get some shows have people listen to it, and you have to book a few months out. So the quicker we can get the promoters to hear it, the better.
Yeah, definitely. Do you as mentioned shows? Are you planning on doing touring or just kind of more localized? As far as playing live.
Not really much with touring right now. It's kind of tough with pretty much any of the bands that I'm in to go tour a whole lot because most of us work day jobs. I mean, just being honest with you. With Dismemberment, Luke goes out and he tours immensely. But yeah, with Botched Suicide, we want to keep it kind of local for now, try to get a footprint at first, and if we can expand, we'd be more than willing to. I mean, I'd rather go play drums than go to work.
No kidding. Yeah, I would imagine there's a lot of musicians out there that would much more prefer to be on the road than doing whatever they do normally. Yeah, that's cool. That's really exciting news though. And I think you mentioned that Satanic Hunt also has new music coming out too, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, you said
I'm really looking forward to this split.
Yeah,
we're doing a split with Abigail, so that'll be really cool.
Nice. And when is that coming?
I have no idea as of yet. Satanic Hunt is me and Jake Shively, the guitar player and singer from Dismemberment. He sings and plays guitar for this. JD from Dismemberment recorded the bass track for it too. So, and we're not really sure yet on when, because we kind of have to get on board with Abigail to figure out the release date. And Jake kind of is band manager on that, and he handles all of it. I kind of get to play dum-dum and show up, hit the stuff, and try to make some smiles. But yeah, I'm hoping that'll be definitely out this year. That will be for sure out this year. I just don't have an approximate timeline.
Nice. And that's kind of more kind of straight ahead metal, right? Kind of a Venom, Motorhead kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Right? Very cool.
Absolutely. It's just Motorhead worship.
Nice. Oh, but you can't go wrong there.
No.
That's awesome. That's very cool. So why don't we talk a little bit about kind of how you started, when did you start playing? What got you into music originally? And drumming especially.
Yeah, well, my dad was a drummer. He's had me out behind the pictures of me behind the drum kit since I was 2 years old, with him holding the sticks in my hand. And
nice.
so I always wanted to play drums. He kept them over at my grandparents' house, so they were Grandma and Grandpa Big Drum. That was my nickname for them. Cool. I was obsessed with drumming. I didn't want to do anything else as a kid. I always had sticks in my hands, practice pad, and they were eventually like, all right, let's get the kid the right tools. And my dad made me actually learn bells and xylophone first. Before I ever got on a snare drum or anything, I had to learn. He made me learn 3 full songs. And by the time I got done playing those 3 songs, nobody was really making fun of me for playing bells anymore, because it was kind of cool. I did a 5th grade band, elementary band, high school, middle school, competitive marching stuff. And throughout all that, that's kind of when my first band really started. Playing 14 years old in bars that would let us in, what I mean? Wow. That my first band was called Visions Left. We were around for about 3 years. We started, my first band started, Visions Left, in 2004, I believe. So it's been a long haul since then, but I went from Visions Left to a band called Butchered Remains, which was more old school style. And to let you know what Visions Left kind of sounded like, it was just Lamb of God worship. I mean, that was the biggest band at the time, and we wanted to be Lamb of God. I wanted to be Chris Adler more than anybody else on the planet. Nice. So, but I found Cannibal Corpse, and it was like, okay, I have to do this now. So we found the guitar player who loved death metal, and I brought JD from who's Dismemberment's bass player. JD has been my bass player for a long time. He was in Visions Left with me. He went with Visions Left to Butchered Remains. So me and JD have actually been playing music together since 2004. Nice. He's my right hand man. But the what was after? Sorry, pardon me. After Butchered Remains was short lived. We only made 1 EP. We played like 3 shows, and I got convinced by hanging out with Luke Shively one day. Me and him had a mutual friend. We were sitting around, and he's like, "Hey, you need to come down and play drums with me." And I was like, "Nah." I blew it off a couple times. Like, who are the? It's my, because Luke was the younger brother of a buddy that I knew. who ends up being Jake Shively, the other guitar player.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, you said Jake plays. I'll come down and hang out with you guys. And I heard the riff of The Condemned and Possessed, and I was sold. I was like, this is what I'm doing from full go from here on out. We've rode that train as hard as we could at first. We put out 2 EPs back to back within a year. Probably played about 20 shows. Our first big, which is trying to get on the bigger shows. Our first big show we had was with Forbidden and Revocation, White Wizard, and Havoc at the Alrosa Villa. So for a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds, that was heaven to us. We're sitting there with X's on our hands, can't even drink a beer, and we're playing with our heroes. So Dismemberment toured for quite a bit. We put out The Condemned, Denied Salvation, Embrace the Dark, Arc of Ancients, and we're working on the new EP now. Throughout all that, with Luke started touring with Incantation and kind of going in and out, and it actually started with Jake playing bass for playing guitar for Acheron, which led to Incantation, and he couldn't commit to all the touring dates, so Luke started to go, and I had to start finding more bands to play in because my members, when I wanted to play, they weren't there, which is fine. More than blessed for them for the opportunity, but it gave me the chance to go join Simple Harvest, and that's been a lot of fun for me because my grandfather played country music growing up, and
cool.
I love Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and all that old country stuff. It's just I'm a Southern Ohio boy, so you kind of can't go into any of the bars without hearing it just a little bit.
Right.
Pulls on the heartstrings for me. So getting to go back and do that and play, plus learn a different style of music is always a challenge. And, that was great. So I've been with those guys for about this past 7 years now.
Cool.
And as if 2 bands isn't enough, I was like, well, let's start a third with Satanic Hunt. Me and JD and Jake were sitting around band practice one day when Luke wasn't there, and he had a riff and started singing, and that's how Satanic Hunt kind of formed.
Interesting.
It's been about 3 years. We've actually been the band longer than this. It's been a while, but we've never really recorded anything for it. Well, I can't really say that. We did record an album. It's on YouTube. I'm a big dummy. I got a lot of stuff on my brain, so pardon me.
Well,
but
the
Satanic Hunt album is actually on YouTube. I forgot about that. The Long Live the Cunt EP. But through all that, we never really played a whole lot of shows. When Satanic Hunt's never played a show, and I was hanging out at another mutual friend's house one day. He was like, the running joke was Botched Suicide is 2 drummers started a band. Neither of us knew what to do. Like, we were like, well, one of us has to play guitar. So I don't want to say I was a better drummer. I was just a more qualified drummer. And Johnny was like, I'll learn how to play guitar. And that's how Botched Suicide kind of started. He knew Jason, our singer, got him involved, and it's just been a wild, crazy trip, man. I cannot believe I've been this lucky to be doing this long.
And
get to meet so many incredible people, my heroes, the fans out there, everyone. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, you're such an incredible and versatile drummer. You're playing multiple styles and multiple bands, which is very cool. So I was going to ask you, and this is probably a loaded question, especially because of all the different styles you play, but I was really curious, like, kind of who your big influences are as a drummer. And again, probably a loaded question because I'm sure you listen to so much, different types of music. I'm sure you listen to a lot of different drummers.
Oh, absolutely. And I always make that joke, like I can't name one. I just cannot name a favorite drummer. It's impossible. But when I was starting out, my big holy trinity was John Bonham, of course, the great Neil Peart from Rush, and like I have to say he's from Rush. I don't know why I said that. And then Stuart Copeland from the Police as well. Those three just did a lot for me when I was growing up. I wore out the Synchronicity album trying to figure out how Stuart was playing all that, and it just blew my mind. And then I heard Pantera, and I wanted to be Vinnie Paul so bad. That drum kit looked so cool. Vinnie Paul and Dave Lombardo especially. I found Slayer and Pantera not too far off the same time frame. For the new metal style guys, Joey Jordison and Chris Adler. They're just amazing drummers. I had their signature drumsticks and tried to find outfits that looked like them when I went up on stage. That if I could, to try to look cool or look the part. But anymore, man, when I'm getting the older I get, the more I'm finding out like the jazz drummers are great, but a lot of the unspoken guys that play weird styles of music, like a man named Christian Vander. He's one of my new favorite drummers. He's not new by any means. He's been playing up for a long time, but he's in the band Magma. If you've ever heard of them, they're a French band.
Yeah, I've heard of them. I don't know.
Yeah, they're really, really far out, man. They're cool stuff though. Also been getting into a lot of the Frank Zappa stuff, just a lot of bands that never really I kind of put off in the past. So those kind of guys, I'm losing track trying to think of a lot of their names right now. What was the big one? No, I cannot think of his name to save my life at the moment. But yeah, I have so many influences. I look at pretty much anybody who came before me as an inspiration. But I mean, those guys really did. I mean, everybody that I pretty much named like that kind of made me the drummer I am today. Cool. Gene Hoglan, how could I forget to throw out Gene Hoglan as well? The great Gene Hoglan. I mean, every metal drummer's favorite metal drummer, pretty much.
Yeah, he's kind of a drummer's drummer, isn't he? In a lot of ways, that guy's a machine.
Yeah, and he makes me feel like I'm like how does he in that many bands doing this many albums? He's a monster. He gives me a lot of inspiration still to this day. Like I couldn't do what he does at that age. At least I hope I get to that age anyway.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing what that man has accomplished, and he's always got a smile on his face too. I've never met him myself, but I know people who have, and they say he's like the nicest guy in the world, like super down to earth. And
he really is. He was cool. I actually went to go see Death Clock play back in 2007 or something, 2008 maybe, and he was outside catching a cigarette. Big, huge, tall, like 6'4" Gene Hoglan. I'm in the line. The line's wrapped around the building. Like I'll lose my spot. I don't care. That's Gene Hoglan. I'm going up to say hi. He flicked his cigarette out, and you know what I mean, acting like Santa Claus just got caught smoking a cigarette or something. You know, in Home Alone. But no, turned around, took the photo, shook my hand, was cool. He didn't have to be cool to a 17-year-old kid pestering him, but he was. Nice. So that was, Gene is a really cool dude.
That's really cool. That's nice. It's good to hear that. You always like to hear, especially, your musical heroes when they turn out to just be super cool, down to earth, regular Joes like the rest of us, and willing to chat and have a conversation and and hang out. Which is great, which is really cool. That's great. Man, you mentioned so many great drummers, so many drummers that I'm a fan of, and musicians and bands that I like, and it's cool that this very eclectic, and you can hear it in your drumming too, I think, in a lot of ways. And I'm not a musician, I'm not a drummer, but just in listening to Dismemberment, even just there's so many cool tempo changes and fills that are not like typical death metal. There's a lot going on. There's other influence. You can tell. You can hear like thrash metal. You can hear almost kind of, I don't know, you've got a swing to the way you play, which is really cool and really exciting to hear in on a death metal album, that's not the typical blast beat, but listening, which I like, but it's great to hear like something different. And, there's like a little bit of jazz influence even, or, some, I don't know, prog or something. There's so much going on. And
thank you for that compliment.
And I'm a music nerd, and this is how nerdy I am. I will sometimes listen to an album and just kind of try to focus on an instrument, especially at favorite bands of mine, like Dismemberment or something, and just listen to that instrument, the entire album. And I've done that multiple times with Dismemberment because there's so much going on and it's fascinating to me. There's a lot of cool influence, I think, and just again, I'm not a musician, so I'm kind of stumbling over my words here, but I'm really fascinated by what you do, and the way you play. I think is really exciting, and I've watched some videos on YouTube of you mentioned like Simple Harvest, and I'm not like a huge country guy, but I like some old school stuff. And I listened to some of it. There was just some, I think it was, I don't know if you guys at a bar or somewhere, that somebody had filmed on an iPhone and posted it online. And it was really cool. It was really good. It was really fun to listen to. And it was, there was some Johnny Cash, I think, maybe. And then some original songs, and, but it's kind of a classic, kind of that classic outlaw country and country rock vibe. And it was, I loved it. I thought it was really fun. So
thank you for looking that up. That's cool. And I really appreciate everything you said, man. That's a huge compliment. Yeah, with Dismemberment, the way I try to write parts is I try to just blend a little bit more to the song rather than a lot of how fast can I play. I don't really want to just make the whole record nonstop hauling double bass and kind of do all these. I don't really want to do what everybody else is doing, kind of. Not that I don't like it. I appreciate it, but double bass is not my strong suit. I'll be honest with you. I cannot sit there for an hour set and just keep my feet going the entire time. The guys who do that are freaks of nature. I'm sure with practice, you know, I could probably maybe one day, but I kind of just have settled in. I don't really listen to a whole lot of metal, really. So, well, when I'm making metal, or writing metal music, I don't really like to listen to a lot of heavy metal. I'd want to listen to something else to give my ears a break. And through that, I think I kind of end up taking like a Van Halen part per se, or you know, because Alex Van Halen's so great, or anybody really. Like I said, like a Neil Peart feel rather than a Steve Asheim from Deicide kind of feel, how he's just nonstop machine the entire time. Just try to mix it up and make it a little bit different.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I think it definitely shows in the way you play on these albums. I love it. I think that's fascinating. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. As far as and maybe it's different for the various bands that you're in. I was curious about the writing and kind of how that all comes together. Say, for instance, like Dismemberment. Is it a collaborative effort? Kind of how do you guys write? What's the process?
Yeah, it's as collaborative as it pretty much can be. Sometimes you'll have per se the member that comes in where they're like, well, this is my song. Like they've wrote an entire 4-minute piece, and Luke does that a lot. Luke, and he'll not only write the whole song, but he'll kind of have it like tabbed out in Guitar Pro, which is like a computer program for you to just be able to send it off and be able to show like the sheet music to it. It's insane, like the work that dude will put in to write music. But sometimes it'll just be one riff. Somebody will just have a riff and we'll build off of it there right then and start going in the space. I refer to the space, like if you hear me say the space, it's our practice space. That's what we've always called it. Space invaders. The writing process with Dismemberment works a lot that way, where one person will either have kind of a whole song and bring it in, or just a section of a song. Usually if JD or Jake wrote a song, they're not really bringing in so much of a riff as they are bringing in an entire piece. For example, Jake brought in off of Denied Salvation, since you brought it up, he brought in Gateways to the Past. I can't. I know the song's Gateway something. I can't even. I'm having a brain fart on my own song. I feel like a dummy. But yeah, that song was all Jake. He wrote that one. Labyrinth off of Embrace the Dark. That was all JD. But Luke writes all the lyrics. And he always has, always will. He's got to be the one to sing it, so it just makes the most sense for him to. He has to play and sing. He's got to do double duty. So for him to place the words where he wants is helpful to him.
Yeah.
I don't bring in any riffs. I just kind of help piece stuff together. I'm more come in on the arranging aspect of, well, maybe we could play that riff twice and instead of playing it 4 times, or maybe we should not play that part here and bring it back in later. That's where I love to get into it, in the nitty gritty. Like you said, with like tempo changes and that kind of stuff, trying to figure out how we can make it a little more challenging rather than just your basic one tempo all the way through thrash song. That's what I love the most about writing. And with Dismemberment, that's how that works. With Satanic Hunt, Jake pretty much writes it all. He's it's almost like I don't want to say Midnight, because we kind of I don't want to say we sound like Midnight either, but we're big fans, and you know what I mean. It's all Motorhead worship, but yeah, it's a lot like that kind of. I forget his name, the main guy from Midnight. It's pardon me for that. He's killer, dude. They're from Ohio. I should be better than this, but Jake rather writes everything, brings it in, will send me tracks. He'll record it all at his house, kind of send me a computerized version of it, and we'll just go from there. We'll kind of just for the EP, I listened to it over. It was like a MIDI file he sent me. like his guitar with fake drums to it, and we went up and recorded it off of that. We never practiced in person once.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of weird, but Botched Suicide writes right then and there at practice. Johnny will have one riff, and we kind of see how many ways we can play that one riff. Kind of as a one-trick pony thing, but that's grindcore. We don't want to have long songs anyways.
Right, yeah. Well, and I think that's, yeah, like you said, it's it's grindcore. So yeah, you kind of want this really rough and ready, like, let's just go, let's do this, kind of a thing. Whereas, like Dismemberment, yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's, it's very textured. There's a lot of, it's a very textured tapestry, for lack of a better term, in terms of, in terms of what you guys are putting together. It's, it's not, I would say one thing I love about Dismemberment is it's not that any of this music that you're doing is, but it's definitely not background music. It's something you take note of, like you have to kind of sit and listen to it. It's not something that you'd play in the background, at least for me. It kind of grabs hold of you right there. But I think that's true of what I've heard of your other music too, though, even though it's very different styles. But I mean, that's just my take on it.
Thank you. That's I honestly have to. I mean, when I put it on, I sit there and dissect it. I mean, I'm one of those weirdos who listens to my own bands from time to time. I kind of have to anyways, to make sure I still remember the parts and songs, and we don't practice all the time. But yeah, I'll agree with you with that. It is. I don't think it's really. I mean, I'm sure it might sound good at the party when you throw it on, but it's kind of more of a. Dismemberment's more like a musician's. Yeah. Or not a musician, but like if you're looking for a little bit more than just fast tempo all the way through stuff. I mean, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head by that. Yeah, I really appreciate that compliment.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I was curious with the. These past 2 years with this pandemic, were you guys able to do a lot of practicing? Were you able to play? I mean, because obviously you weren't during shows. Were you able to play together very often?
Yeah, as much as we could. We usually try to practice once a week. Anymore, it's kind of far and few in between with just with Luke touring, which is absolutely no hard feelings at all. We love Luke and support him with going out there and touring, because that's what he wants to do for a living. It's not what he wants to do; it's what he's doing. Yeah. So good for him on that. And but when he's home, yeah, we try to get together at least once a week if we can. COVID didn't really limit us on too much, aside from having to cancel some shows that we already had set up. Of course, I mean we had to join. We had to follow suit with that. We didn't have much of a choice. But we were able to get. I mean, throughout the epidemic, I mean, it's finally coming to an end, I think. But we've only had 2 shows, I think, 2-3 shows throughout the whole COVID epidemic. Gotcha. It kind of puts a dampener on it a little bit when you don't really have a lot to keep working for. Like when you have a show coming up and it gets it's harder for you to say, no, I'm busy this weekend. Sometimes you'll be like, well, it's a nice Saturday and I could go spend time with the family or go do something. So, and we've all played together for so long now. We don't feel bad when we have those days anymore. So, but right. we try to practice as much as we can. We love playing together.
Cool.
Right now, our practice space, actually, funny story. Our practice space got grounded wrong. It hit so we have no power at all. We turned on the lights one day. They got real bright. All our, what do you call them, the power strips that you plug your amps and stuff into. Fortunately, no amps are plugged in because they started smoking on fire.
Oh my God.
So we had to kill the power. Yeah. I forget what somebody said. It peaked to one. It went from 110 to 220 or something like that. It jumped in the box somehow. Jesus. I'm not an electrician. I hit drums. But yeah, we have no practice space as of right now. We've been drunk.
That's terrible.
That's kind of put a dampener on things.
Yeah, that's awful. Well, luckily nobody, there wasn't a fire. Nobody got hurt. That's good. But I mean, it sucks that your space is unavailable currently. Hopefully you'll either get it fixed or find somewhere else to play. Well, we've been. Jake has an electronic drum kit downstairs in his basement, so we'll go there from time to time. But that electronic drum kit is not fun for me to play. It feels so unnatural for me. I don't like to have. It's just me though. I don't want to talk bad on
anybody's equipment that's not mine. I don't own that. I didn't buy it. But yeah, we at least do have a place to meet up. So I mean, that's something to be grateful for. I don't, and you're right. The practice space is still standing, and all of us are unharmed. So that's a win-win.
Yeah,
and we'll get it fixed. We'll be up and running here soon.
Cool. Are there any plans for Dismemberment to do any touring, or maybe not touring, but any festivals this coming summer? I know there's a bunch of festivals going on. Any plans for any shows right now? And I know it kind of it makes it difficult. I'm sorry.
Oh, pardon me. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I think there's a little bit of a delay. I apologize. Yeah, I was going to say, and I know.
Oh, it's okay.
I know with Luke's touring with Incantation, it kind of throws things off a little bit, and I know he's got some I think some festivals coming up with the Incantation. But I always wondered if are there any plans to ever play together, which would be a lot of work for Luke, obviously, but.
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's to answer your last question first. That's with Incantation Dismemberment. We have played together. It just has never been on a long tour. We have played a couple shows, but never anything to that extreme. I'd love to. I'd be more than down, but they usually, the labels pretty much kind of cherry pick who they get to take out on tour. And I hate to say you kind of got to deal with the politics of it. It's not that bad, but I mean, you kind of have to play ball a little bit. And if somebody else's band on a label is trying to get, promotion out there, you kind of have to take them instead of your buddies, which, and like you said, for us to go to a tour like that, poor Luke would be dead by the end of the night.
Yeah.
If we had to do that all night, every night. But I'd love to get more shows with them. That'll definitely happen. Cool. And you are correct. This year, probably not too much going on live with Dismemberment, unfortunately. I wish there was, and we will have some more in the future. But with Incantation got hit very hard because of COVID.
Yeah.
Those guys, that's what they did. That's their living. So they're trying to take it as much advantage as they can and staying as busy as possible, going back out and, checking out the fans, getting back in touch with their fan base again. So we're trying to be as supportive as we can of that, because that is Luke's job. That really is his job. And this is, it's our band and we love it too. And we're going to continue it going forward. But as long as one thing doesn't get in the way of another too much, and we're still able to see our brother go out there and do his thing, that's good enough for us right now. Cool. We got an EP coming out. I can't wait to get people to hear. So nice. That's enough to keep me happy.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear that. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to hear that. So hopefully it'll be sooner than later.
Yeah, buddy. Me too. I want my copy. I want my shirt.
Yeah, there you go. Well, and with all your bands too. That's the cool thing is you've got EPs and splits coming out with everybody basically that you work with right now, coming out in the fairly, pretty quickly here too, which is very exciting news, especially for me.
This is going to be a really exciting year for me. I didn't think I didn't have much I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't have a lot of high hope for 2022 until just the way the last year went. Everybody's been affected by COVID in some way or another, or the epidemic. It wore on me mentally a little bit more, kind of not being able to get out as much, as a musician. And life getting older too. Like I just turned 30, and once you turn 30, things just change a little bit more. I feel I'm sure it changes every year you get older, but
just you wait.
I'm getting out of my rut. I'm getting out of the rut that I've been in, and I'm just feeling a lot better, feeling a lot more confident, and knowing that all this music is coming out. It's just been a lot of 2 years of negativity to build up to 1 year of all this positivity. So
that's cool.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, when you and I were discussing doing this interview, and you told me about your bands and that you basically had new music coming out for every single band, it was like, yep, here, take my money, Taylor, right now. I want all of this, please. I will buy it all.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, take my money. I can't wait to hear this stuff. So, well, very cool.
Right on, dude.
So I have one last question for you. I know you drink a little bit of beer, right? You're a bit of a beer drinker, correct? All right, cool.
Oh, I like my beer.
Nice. All right.
I know you drink a lot of good beer too.
Yeah,
I always see you posted up killer beers.
Yeah. So
and killer tunes.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So as you know, my page, Brews and Tunes, I pair metal and beer, mostly metal, but you know, all sorts of music, but mostly metal, and craft beer. So so what I'm curious, like kind of like say it's a Friday night, Saturday night, you know, you're hanging out at home. What beer are you cracking open and what album are you spinning?
Yeah. Wow. I love if I'm buying craft beer anymore, I freak out whenever I find a good sour. I love sour ales or any kind of gosas, and the more bitter the better. We're blessed to have. Have you ever heard of a brewing company called Urban Artifact? They're out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And they make killer sours. So anytime I can find their key lime, it's called Key Punch. It's a key lime pie flavored gosa ale.
Ooh, nice.
It's amazing. If I can find it, you know, I'll crack open a good sour. I also love a nice lager. I'm a big lager guy.
Cool.
It's palatable. It's easy, and I can crush 15 of them without feeling full.
Right.
And my main beer, my go-to beer is Yingling Lager. I just love the green bottle Yingling for some reason. I know it's not too much of a craft, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with it to me. A nice sour ale, a Yingling, and man, I could always listen to either some Judas Priest. I could put on Screaming for Vengeance.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, give me Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time. Those are killer Friday night albums. I'm trying to think. Kiss, Dynasty. I love the Dynasty record. A lot of people don't like it, but I like the Dynasty record. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of good party albums, man. Friday night's good now. Gotta have Mob Rules. You gotta have Mob Rules.
Yeah, Mob Rules. What a great album.
You gotta have Dio in there. I mean, but yeah, I could definitely have a nice sour ale, listen to some Dio. I tell you what, that'd be a killer Friday night for me.
Nice. It's funny you mentioned I love your pairings, by the way. It's funny you mentioned Dynasty. I interviewed Mantis from Venom about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, and he's a huge Kiss fan, massive Kiss fan, and he told me, you know, when Dynasty came out, he bought it. Like he was like first in line to buy it, and he was, you know, probably I don't know how old he would have been at the time, probably an older teenager. And he said he put it on, he listened to both sides, he took it off and threw it across the room and smashed it against the wall. He was so pissed off. But he told me, he's like, I've gone back to it now. And he's like, it's actually a really good album. But he goes, at the time, I was furious. He's like, what the hell is this?
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, he's like, this isn't Kiss.
Like, you know, when you hear Gene and Paul, and you're like, what are they doing, man? Like, knock it off. But it's so good to sing along to. I can sing Charisma all night long. I love that song.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I love it. Well, awesome. Well, Taylor Emerine, thank you so much for chatting with me. So for those of you watching, please check out the links in the description to all of Taylor's bands: Dismemberment, Botched Suicide, Satanic Hunt, and Simple Harvest. There are links to all those bands. You can check them out, buy the music, check out Bandcamp stuff, and please check it out. There's some really killer stuff on there. Great music. Taylor, thank you so much for chatting with me. Cheers, my friend.
Hey, thank you for having me, Victor. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
And thank you all.